It was 1996, when Kathy Bates witnessed something she couldn't quite explain, the beginning of a bond between two young actors that would outlive the movie they were making. The set was Titanic, a chaotic ocean of cables, freezing water, and impossible expectations. Kathy had joined the cast as the unsinkable Molly Brown, bringing calm to a production many believed would sink long before the ship did. But what she saw between Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio stopped her in her tracks. They were just kids, barely in their 20s, yet their connection carried a depth beyond their years. During breaks, they laughed like old friends who'd known each other forever. During takes, their eyes told entire stories without a word. Kathy had seen great acting before, but this wasn't acting. There was something real, something that drew them together through exhaustion, pressure, and endless nights in icy water. When filming ended, she thought the feeling would fade. Instead, she watched that friendship survive decades of fame, distance, and rumor. And even now, nearly 30 years later, Kathy still speaks about them with the same quiet wonder. Because what she saw in 1996 wasn't just movie chemistry. It was the start of a connection so genuine, it blurred the line between fiction and truth, a bond that only someone like Kathy Bates could recognize for what it truly was. When filming began in 1996, Titanic was already being called the most ambitious movie ever attempted. A nearly full-sized ship replica had been built on the coast of Mexico, surrounded by massive water tanks and a small army of technicians working around the clock. The project was chaotic, cold, and physically punishing. For two young actors, Kate Winslet, age 20, and Leonardo DiCaprio, 21, it would become the defining experience of their early lives. They met during early rehearsals, both nervous but curious about each other's approach. Kate had earned critical respect for sense and sensibility, while Leo had stunned audiences in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Yet nothing had prepared either of them for the scale of Titanic. From the first script read, it was clear that director James Cameron expected complete emotional surrender. What began as a professional pairing quickly evolved into something deeper, a mutual reliance born from long nights, frigid water, and constant pressure. Crew members later described their rapport as easy and natural. Kate was open, spontaneous, and fiercely loyal. Leo was introspective and mischievous, often lightening the mood with humor when exhaustion set in. They teased each other relentlessly but shared an unspoken trust that showed up in every scene they filmed. Cameron himself noted how instinctively they connected. No rehearsed chemistry, no forced emotion, just two young performers who understood one another. Kathy Bates, who played the spirited Molly Brown, occasionally observed them between takes, laughing, sharing snacks, or exchanging glances before the next setup. She later said there was a warmth between them that reminded her of two people who had already known each other for years. They carried that familiarity into every frame, transforming fictional characters into something real. The emotional heartbeat of Titanic didn't come from the grand sets or special effects. It came from two young actors who made each other feel safe enough to tell the truth on screen. When Titanic premiered in December 1997, the response was unlike anything Hollywood had seen in decades. The story of Jack and Rose moved audiences to tears, but what truly captivated the world was the bond between the two actors who brought them to life. Critics called their chemistry effortless, while fans insisted it must have been real. Every look, every touch, every pause between words felt charged with authenticity. Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio had done what few could, convince millions that their connection transcended the screen. In interviews that followed, both were careful to downplay the romantic speculation. Kate described Leo as a friend and a partner in the work, while Leo called her a remarkable actress and a remarkable person. Yet the sincerity in their words only fueled public fascination. Their friendship had been born in freezing water and exhaustion, and that shared experience gave them a closeness neither fame nor rumor could shake. Reporters kept asking if they had ever fallen in love, and both always laughed, saying the bond was too precious to risk on something fleeting. Behind the headlines, they stayed in touch. They wrote letters, checked in during new projects, and celebrated each other's milestones from afar. Kathy Bates, looking back, once said that what people saw on screen was exactly what existed in real life: respect, laughter, and an ease that couldn't be staged. It was a connection grounded in honesty, built in adversity, and preserved with care long after the cameras stopped rolling. For Kate and Leo, Titanic wasn't only a film that changed their careers. It was the beginning of a lifelong friendship that would anchor them through the shifting tides of fame and time. After Titanic, the world changed for both Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio. They had gone from promising young talents to global icons almost overnight. Reporters followed them everywhere. Fans memorized their lines and studios chased their names. Yet amid the chaos, both seemed determined to build lives and careers that didn't depend on the ship that made them famous. Kate chose roles that pushed her in new directions, complex women in independent films that revealed the emotional strength beneath her calm exterior. She married, became a mother, and made it clear she valued privacy more than publicity. Leonardo, meanwhile, focused on collaboration with directors who challenged him. He immersed himself in The Aviator, Catch Me If You Can, The Departed, and Blood Diamond, building a reputation as one of the most disciplined actors of his generation. Though their careers rarely crossed paths, their friendship endured quietly. They called each other for advice, sent messages of encouragement, and defended one another when the tabloids speculated about their lives. Whenever they reunited at award ceremonies, their comfort with each other was unmistakable. There was no performance, no distance, only the kind of familiarity that comes from shared beginnings. Their bond remained steady, because it was never built on illusion. They had survived the most intense film shoot of their youth and carried those lessons into adulthood. Both learned how to stay grounded, how to preserve a sense of self in an industry built on spectacle. Decades later, when people still asked about Titanic, they spoke of it with gratitude, not for the fame it brought, but for the friendship it forged. By 2008, more than 10 years had passed since Titanic, yet the memory of Jack and Rose still lingered in the public's mind. When it was announced that Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio would reunite for Revolutionary Road, the anticipation was immediate. Fans expected another love story, but what they received was something far more mature, a portrayal of two people whose dreams collapse under the weight of reality. For both actors, it was not nostalgia, it was evolution. Directed by Sam Mendes, the film demanded rawness and restraint. There were no grand gestures or cinematic rescues, only silence, tension, and unspoken pain. Kate and Leo approached it as veterans, not stars trying to recreate old magic. They trusted one another completely, understanding that the only way to make the story real was to surrender to its discomfort. Kate later said that working with Leo again felt natural, as if no time had passed. Their friendship allowed them to explore the film's darkest emotions without fear or hesitation. Observers on set described a rhythm between them that required no direction. They understood the weight of every glance, every pause. Between takes, the intensity would fade, replaced by laughter, a small reminder that their bond had survived fame and distance unchanged. Mendes himself remarked on how instinctively they communicated, saying it was rare to witness such familiarity between two actors after so many years apart. When the film premiered, critics praised their performances as among the strongest of their careers. Many noted how their shared history gave Revolutionary Road a quiet electricity, something unspoken that deepened every scene. It was not the innocence of Titanic Reborn, but the reflection of two artists who had grown up together, still connected, still fearless, still trusting the person who had once stood beside them in the freezing water of a different story. As the years passed, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio's friendship only seemed to grow stronger. They never worked together again after Revolutionary Road, Yet their connection remained one of Hollywood's rare constants, visible not in grand gestures, but in small, genuine moments. When Kate married in 2012, Leo walked her down the aisle. When Leo finally won his long-awaited Oscar for The Revenant, Kate was in the audience, tears in her eyes, standing before the crowd finished clapping. Those images told a story words couldn't. Both have spoken openly about how deeply they value the bond that began in 1996. Kate has said that Leo feels like family, someone who has always been there without question. Leo has described her as the kind of person who knows him better than anyone in the industry, not because of fame, but because of shared experience. Their connection, built through decades of life changes, success and loss, has remained untouched by scandal or distance. In interviews, they often downplay their closeness, preferring to protect what's private. Yet whenever they appear together, their warmth fills the room. It is not nostalgia for the past, but gratitude for a friendship that has endured everything fame could throw at it. What began as trust between two young actors on a chaotic film set has evolved into something lasting and rare, a quiet loyalty that has outlived the roles, the headlines, and the expectations of others. In an industry defined by constant change, Kate and Leo have become proof that genuine connection can survive it all. Their story isn't about romance or reunion, it's about respect, shared history, and the kind of friendship that never needs to be explained, only seen. Nearly 3 decades after Titanic, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio remain linked by a story larger than cinema. What began as two young actors fighting exhaustion on a set in 1996 became a friendship that quietly defied every prediction. The world expected a love affair. What it witnessed instead was something stronger. Two people who grew up, found success, and never let fame or time separate them. Their connection has never been defined by publicity or performance. It exists in shared respect, in years of watching each other work, and in the kind of loyalty that has become almost unheard of in Hollywood. Each has lived a full life, careers that evolved, families that formed, paths that diverged, yet whenever they cross paths, the comfort between them remains the same. It is visible in a glance, in laughter that seems unchanged from their days aboard the ship that made them famous. Kathy Bates once called their bond real friendship, the rarest kind. Decades later, that truth still holds. Their story has become a reminder that authenticity can survive the glare of fame, and that trust, once earned, can endure for a lifetime. For more emotional stories, check out this video.